Hi Taurus, here's a general look at your solar chart for February 2012, and every year at this time the Sun comes round to the same sector of your chart. It's in Aquarius until the 19th, and so in your solar chart that is your career sector, but it's also to do with the direction you're heading in your life. So at this time you might become a little bit more aware or have to give more attention to your overall life direction and how decisions and lifestyle choices and short-term goals and long-term goals are kind of affecting that. But this is a good year for you, really, in a general sense, because you have Jupiter in your sign. And, well, I say year, it's going to be in your sign until mid-year. So this is really your year for spreading your wings into new areas and learning through doing and experiencing and making yourself available for that. In February, you probably have to be more aware, maybe, of being responsible, showing authority, or just being more aware of how you come across to others who are in positions of power or with bureaucracy, or maybe more aware of reputation, image, and your presentation skills. For whatever the reason, you'll be more aware of perhaps being under the spotlight or wanting to, being scrutinized and just wanting to kind of make the right impression in the eyes of others. So feeling very much, how others are seeing you more at times this month. But like I say, it might be that others are relying on you, others are looking to you for direction, others are looking to you for your strength and your authority. And also it can mean that some of you have got more awareness of parents, guardians, or being parental yourself, you see, at this time here, at this time that we're in here. Some of you could be more involved in correspondence and paperwork and discussing things centered around your general life direction, or an enterprise, or your image or reputation, or your career, or your parent as well. Or you may feel your ideas are being questioned or confirmed by, the powers that be, or those people that you consider to be important and who have some authority in your life. You'll care more about what others are thinking at the moment, anyway, of the way you're showing how you can be depended upon, or how you can give a good direction, or how you can be competent. Or how you can come up to a standard. It might not be about work, it might be some other kind of standard that you feel scrutinized about. So it'll be kind of your status, your position, or your public persona. And you'll be putting more mental effort into communicating in the best way you can so as to get the results that you desire. Mercury is going to move from that particular area where the Sun is from mid-month. The Sun's going to be there until the 19th, but Mercury's moving on the 14th. And then it's going into this very friendly, sociable area for mingling and mixing, and you being able to access the information you need or learn things together with others. From those connections, those old friendships and associations, or new ones. This is a great area for networking and for forums and blogs and pooling your knowledge, sharing, but also learning and getting furthering your aims through a group context, or because of not what you know but who you know. And also it's quite an experimental feeling as well, where Mercury is going to be from mid-month and on into March. So if you're open enough, some of you will be inspired towards thinking along very different and unusual lines, which is perhaps something that you've learned through an association or some sort of group or organisation, formal one, informal one, that you've taken part in. Until the 8th, it's going to be a very good time for you to make friends, actually, to hang out, with others, but also to collaborate, to team up in a kind of group context with others. And again, in person, over the wires, because Venus, your ruling planet, is going to be in a very sociable area. It's an area it works. She can express herself through very, very, very well. So you feel support and flow coming to you from who you know, whether that's in a family sense or in another sort of sense within a a group of those who perhaps those of you who've got an aim in common, whether it's a small group or a large group, and also they're feeling support. You wanting to put yourself there for them as well. So friendships and groups will be positively highlighted in just over the first week of February and facilitate, in general, positive experiences, some of which could even be lucrative for you, or at least provide you or with useful material resources in some way. And then from the 8th and for the rest of the month, Venus moves into a more background area of your chart, a more selfless, compassionate area of your chart, where you have to maybe at times put your personal preferences on one side because you have to, or because you just want to, and contribute, make yourself available. In some situations you'll be more inclined to keep your feelings to yourself, so maybe there's sort of you having feelings about somebody, but you just need to keep them for yourself, or maybe, both of you know, but it's not time to announce it to the world, sort of thing. Or maybe it works in another way, because Venus is about other things. It's to do with relationships and love relationships, but it's and bonding quietly in the background, and something taking root in the background. But it's also about the arts, about looking after yourself, being kind to yourself. So perhaps taking time out for some pampering here as well. Now Mars, for a long time, Mars is going to be in a very creative, sort of spontaneous area of your solar chart, and it'll give you more of an urge and more available. You'll have creative or entertaining activities more available to you. This area is also about children, animals, little children or bigger children, or just those with whom you can hang out, be spontaneous, and not feel as though you're being heavily judged or criticised for your performance. So it might be a hobby or a pastime. It might not be a person or an animal, or it could be a garden. It could be cooking. It can be something to do with music. It can be anything really. Anything that really switches you on, gets you in your power, makes you feel good. And so Mars is going to be really activating this area for several months, and it's quite a competitive area as well. So some of you might be going into something which is speculative, might have to take a bit of a gamble. And did I mention it's also about romance? So some of you might be taking a little bit of a gamble there as well. But it might be one of a number of things, but it's going to be in there until July. Now, it just so happens this month and next month, Mars is going retrograde. So that will change or mute the energy a little bit. It'll slow the energy a little bit over this month and next month, and make you feel like maybe you're a bit blocked or unappreciated or overlooked or just treading water. So if that is the case, it might not be, but if that is the case, just get on with doing something that you like to do, no matter what somebody else is saying about it, as long as it's not going to be harmful to them or yourself. Just throw yourself into whatever it is that you enjoy and gets you to align with your creative core, and do it in your own little way. Don't be self-doubting about it. This is a very good transit for you to really start taking a hobby or a pastime more seriously, or your interaction, as I say, with getting into something which really does allow you to show your light and to shine in some way. And it might be to do with children or animals, or it might not. But whatever it is, you'll find yourself having to put more physical effort into things related to the affairs of whatever it is. real physical demands on you, and just be careful, don't overdo it. And also there can be a little bit of conflict sometimes as well, because Mars is a bit feisty, a bit argumentative with those, any sort of a lover or a child or an animal or a project you're doing or a hobby or a pastime or something competitive, a little bit of friction going on there. But that is the nature of Mars, and that is your challenge, to sort of keep this thing, moving forwards but under control, so that you can really enjoy the ride, because this is an area to do with self-realization through pleasure and leisure, you see. So it's a great place for Mars to be, actually, as long as it's handled. From the 19th, it's a very progressive phase when friendships, networking, or group efforts will be more highlighted, potentially. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of the slow-moving planets. You can always go to my website and actually read this material. Also, you can go and listen to my forecast I did for the whole of 2012 and listen to the material. But I'll mention something that needs to be mentioned every month. And there's a couple of things. One is that Jupiter's in your sign and will be there until June. It's ushering in this cycle of expansion in your life. Allows you to see the bigger picture. It gives you, to a degree, a kind of a safety net feeling. And definitely is a time to spread your wings and to learn through doing, learn through experience, grow wise. This is the planet that rules the sign of the sage, Sagittarius the sage. And of course Sagittarians have to go through quite a few knocks and cuts and bruises before they start to grow wise. But this is what this planet's about. It's about learning through doing and experiencing, even though you do get a knock or two along the way. It generally helps you to come out smiling out of whatever it is, as long as you don't take on too much. Some of you could be getting into academia, some of you could be studying a special subject, because it's also a little bit about academic learning, and some of you could be travelling more or having more to do with those at a distance, generally pushing the boundary, pushing the envelope of your world with Jupiter here and getting the eagle eye view. Also, another important move this month is Neptune is moving finally into its home sign. So Neptune has been in your career sector since 1998. And Neptune is about sometimes muddle and confusion or uncertainty. And so that could have affected your role in the world. That could have meant that others' view of you could have been distorted, that they undervalue you or overvalue you, or there's something false about the way others are seeing you, or maybe something false about the way you've seen yourself. Generally a lack of clarity related to life direction, career, bosses, authorities, parents as well, mother in particular, I have to say, and getting it wrong, not appreciating really, what she is or was about, or maybe not mother, maybe grandmother, or some sort of strong female figure in your life, and important people, shall we say. So it can be, it can be parents, both parents, but the tendency is more to do with the mother energy. And this position, however, where Neptune's been, would have worked best for anything which allowed you to use your imagination or your compassionate side, your artistic side, your healing, your spiritual side, your charitable side. And also lots of other things to do with boats and hospitality and film and photography, and also because it is to do with and catering, because it's to do with the third eye. It might have allowed you to connect with nature or animals in a non-verbal kind of a way, and really understand them from that sort of standpoint, because that is how they communicate. Now Neptune leaves this area on February the 4th. It's been there for around about 15 years, and 15 years, and it restarts its transit in its home sign of Pisces. So that's going to mean many things over the long time it's there. Generally you might feel more of a pull to become involved with a group which serves the community in some way, pooling your energies with others. This is going to be a far more positive aspect to your sun sign than it was before. and so you might find yourself collaborating with others in a special area of interest or expertise, in a kind of empathic way, but it doesn't have to be like that. It could be an artistic way, but it doesn't have to be like that. It can be a charitable way, it might be, but there's lots of ways it can work. And you Taurians born at the very, very end or the very, very beginning of the sign, say around about the 19th, 20th of May, or the last degree of Taurus rising, or in fact the very beginning of the sign in April, and the very first 1 or 2 degrees of Taurus rising will feel the energy mostly this month, I think. And that's it. If you know your rising sign or your moon sign, listen to that too. Might make some sense to you. Just pick out the bits that do, and I will see you the next time.